Smooth like butter. How we doing, ladies and gents? Welcome to another debriefing here with a couple nurses. PD, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Quick announcement, guys. Got the shop going for Christmas. We got some new Christmas releases coming up. Matt's actually wearing the couple nurses tee right there. I got the nurse tee. And Christmas is coming up, so we're giving you guys 15% off with the coupon code MARY15 at checkout. 50% off the whole store. Matt's got a nice blue couple nurses shirt right there. And Christmas shirts coming out soon. And then units, we already got dropped. We got both the t-shirts, unit t-shirts, and also have the unit jackets when you get cold. It's winter time. It doesn't matter if you're in San Diego. It's still a little chilly in San Diego. And if you're in Chicago, you're super cold. So you need a jacket regardless. Night shift, day shift, you're always cold, Pick one up.
So it's been an interesting week on the nursing debrief here. Something that happened to me, which I wasn't expecting. I wasn't injured since my appendix was removed in 2008. So I was working Saturday night, and Saturday morning I had a Ju Jitsu competition. Decided to squeeze one in. I was ready for it. What happened is I got body slammed the wrong way, and I noticed some clicking in my rib. I mean, I'm a nurse. I've never felt clicking in my rib before. I felt pain. I stopped the last fight there. I'm like, okay, we should go get checked out to the ER.
Damn.
We had to go to the third one. The clinic worked. The other one was closed. The other one didn't have X-rays because I needed to get an X-ray to see if I have like a fractured rib. So I went to an urgent care that was connected to an ER in San Diego. Got an X-ray. It took a while. Interesting healthcare experience being on the other side of the fence. The doctor just walks in after the X-ray. Very brief, barely touched me. Just didn't even diagnose me with a slip rib. I actually diagnosed myself after research. Just told me.
True nurse right there.
Yeah.
Self-diagnosed.
Self-diagnosed.
Doctor have anxiety.
Yeah, and I use my freaking pendulum. Tells me no fracture. If it hurts in 5 days, come back. You might have a fractured or a hairline fracture. That's it. Doesn't touch you. Doesn't do a maneuver, which is the hook maneuver underneath the ribs to see if you have a split rib if it moves. Just sent me on my way. Gave me some ibuprofen and codeine. So
yeah.
And anyways, I had to call off that day at work. I knew I couldn't get to work. I was barely getting into the car because my rib was literally.
Well, real quick.
Rib.
Did you get to see your X-rays?
I did not see.
Yeah, we should ask, bro.
You should. You could go on the. I went on the website where I got the doctor's note and I looked at it, but it was just like the impression. You could just read, not the note.
Oh, not the actual image of it.
No.
Damn. Okay.
So anyways, I was hurt. Didn't come Saturday to work. I couldn't even turn, lay down, complete pain. I called off the next shift as well. This was Saturday. I waited to Wednesday to come in. And this changed my nursing perspective of how bad we do not take care of our bodies. I was so careful on moving things. I was bending properly at the Pyxis, pulling out meds. I was properly bending over the Foley. I wasn't lifting any patients, guys. If I had somebody that was heavy, I asked for another nurse. Went completely Trendelenburg as much as I can, hover on to gently do it. And then sometimes in the ICU, I have the ceiling lifts. So that helps out. But yeah, just perspective, I just realized how much we just hurt our backs in the workplace or the ergonomics and everything. It's just crucially important. And now it's been almost 2 weeks. I feel better where I'm not wearing a brace. I'm still kind of being careful. I haven't gone to the gym, haven't done jiu-jitsu. I'll probably do that for 2-3 weeks.
How's it feel pooping?
Oh, it's fine, bro.
It's fine.
But the first week, I couldn't sneeze. My body had so much fear of sneezing. I was like,
oh my God.
And it was crazy because my body knew that sneezing wasn't worth it because I had so much pain.
Damn, that's probably worse. Never satisfied with sneezes like that.
Yeah, and it was crazy experience.
No poop, no problem. What if you're really gassy?
Oh, nothing? There was no issues.
No
bro.
issues.
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, but it's crazy how a hairline fracture. It's not completely fractured. When typically think of a fracture, people think of broken bone. But this is a hairline, so the bone's still attached. It's just almost like a little.
I don't have a hairline fracture. I have slipped ribs.
Oh, slip rib. Oh.
So the slipped rib syndrome, the last 3 ribs, 9, 10, 11, they're not connected to the sternum. They're connected to the intercostal spaces. So when you have inflammatory response and the steroid, it just makes it very it moves. So the
movement hurts.
The movement hurts, and that's where the clicking was. I couldn't figure out what that was initially.
But then are they in place though? So how do you put them back in place, or they will eventually stop moving over time?
They just stop moving over time, yeah. And
so
if you have pain for such a long time, then you could have surgical interventions. But I believe that it's just going to heal on its own. I'm young.
No, it's even must
and yeah. The biggest thing I was worried about is I had so much pain in breathing. I thought I developed a pneumothorax. That was my biggest fear, man. So I went to go get that X-ray. He told me I have no pneumo. I'm like, life is good, man. I'll take this pain. So
because when I got to my accident back in the day, like I thought I had a pneumo at 1.2 because it was super hard to breathe. So I was like worried about that too.
Yeah,
but yeah, damn, that's crazy how that happened. So now we taking it easy, not going to the gym or anything, laying low.
No gym. I couldn't do. I don't know what the movement is when you're just like hands when you're on all fours and you're just extending your arm. That took me a whole week to do to start stretching. So yeah, it just slowed me down in life, guys. I just realized I need to slow down. Way too much going on. Just self-care, self-love. And yeah.
What did you get for meds?
Ibuprofen, 800 milligrams, and I got a Cody number 3.
Tylenol number 3?
Tylenol number 3. I just took it once. I wasn't a fan of it. Didn't want to feel drowsy. Just a lot of icing and yeah, straight business.
Did they give you anything in the hospital, IV-wise?
No, he wanted to give me a shot in my ass of Toradol. like I am or something. I'm just like thinking, I'm like, dude, I'm not wasting insurance money on a Toradol shot right now. Who knows how much money they're going to charge me? I'm like, just give me something over the counter. I'll worry about it. Dude, they didn't even send me home with an ice pack. Craziest thing ever. I can't believe this is the hospital experience. Like, you okay? Maybe offer me some water. I'm hurt a little bit. Nothing, man. The hospitality given the ICU is insane. Like this, I felt like my perspective changed about healthcare, man. I know why healthcare is the way it is.
But think about it. What if that same nurse had a patient that had 3 patients that were like in real bad shape?
Oh, there was no nurse. I just got triaged.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah, the only time I talked to a nurse when triage to check my blood pressure.
Oh, no way.
The rest I was sitting in the waiting room when I was walking back and forth between the office or between another room to get an X-ray. Trust you, man. If I would want to be a dick to the nurse, but there was no nurse.
Damn. That's probably super short. There's nobody to come really check up on you. You're just in and out.
Yeah.
I mean, you seem like a healthy person. Probably just like he's in pain. Sucks.
I made it. I was fine.
Yeah, they're probably like, if you're thinking about it, like they probably came and looked at you. Probably like, well, I mean, whatever. If it's a hairline fracture or a slip rib, like
he's breathing.
He's breathing. There's no need for surgery. Nothing we can really do. Send him home. It's going to suck, but I gotta see another patient.
Right. Here's the doctor's note. That's it.
None you can do for it but time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna heal it.
Yeah.
And then as far as nothing really interesting happened in the hospital, just lifted patients. Same old. Had some poops. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Has your diet changed?
Clean a couple patients.
Did they recommend any kind of diet? Probably no, right? Keep being what you
absolutely no education, bro.
Maybe some more milk or something.
I checked my paperwork. There's no educational information about maybe like ribs or injury or icing. Mm-hmm. It was just a verbal, bro. It wasn't even doctor. It was a PA. Anyways, man. I'm a little bit upset if you can tell, but I am healing.
Matt wanted the sandwich and the apple juice right there.
That's all I wanted. I wanted some hospitality, man. The 5-star service I give to my patients.
If Matt ever ends up in your hospital, just offers a guy a sandwich and a juice box. He's satisfied.
He'll be happy, man.
The more he's chewing, the less he's talking and complaining,
Yeah, that's how I feel about the Toradol shot. I'm like, maybe they got to start an IV. I ain't trying to do all that. Let me just go home and take an ibuprofen. As far as something interesting I learned in the hospital, I had a patient that was not to take up too much time, I want to hear PD stories. Quick one. He had chronic lymphoma, leukemia. He was so immunocompromised, he developed a fungus called Cryptococcus. Sounds like a cryptocurrency.
gang.
And he had a really harsh antifungal they put him on called amphotericin. And it's super renal toxic. So prior to giving the medication, you need to give Tylenol because it causes fevers. You got to give Benadryl. You got to give a 500 cc fluid bolus.
Damn, interesting.
30 minutes before you give this medication, and then you have to prime the tubing of D5W, and you have to flush it before and afterwards. Never heard of a process like that, but that's something that this medication we had to do for.
So it's crazy because this medication gives you such severe side effects that we have to pre-medicate you before we give it. So we wanted to elicit a response to your body, but the only way that we can elicit that response is with these other cascade of severe symptoms. So it's like, damn. So it's like we're trying to treat one thing, but then we're damaging all these other things by trying to do the same you could say reaction, which is mind-blowing. Crazy how that works.
Yeah, and it's also crazy to think about how this person is so immunocompromised that his body is just a storage to fungus or parasites and all these like diseases that you would normally catch as a healthy individual.
How did he catch it?
But you're so immunocompromised. I'm not sure. There's, they just do some cultures and they did a titer for it. So it's not even a blood culture. They did a titer for that specific fungal infection and it was positive.
Interesting. It's so wild. Wow, that's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Damn. I never gave anything like that before. Was that your first time?
That was my first time.
Yeah. I mean, I've given like Lasix and like Benadryl before starting blood or things like that, but nothing like that.
Yeah. So how was your shift, man? What's new? What did you learn?
It was good, man. I was floating a lot. It was coming to the end of our contract here. We're heading back to Chicago, and then we're moving on to Thailand in January. So it should be a very fun time. We're going to try and vlog it like we did our vlogs back in the day.
Yeah, back in the 2020 days.
Should be a good time. But like, yeah, floating a lot. But the one thing that I noticed more commonly than before is I had 2 patients within a 2-week period that had necrotizing fasciitis. So necrotizing fasciitis is a bacterial infection and it actually destroys your flesh, like it eats up your flesh. And sometimes it gets so bad where you have to amputate that body part if you don't treat it with antibiotics right away. And you treat it with harsh antibiotics too. And the patient that I had, they actually fell outside and they were outside for 24 hours before somebody found them. Yeah. And they were brought in and they had bilateral lower extremity necrotizing fasciitis. So severe that they took off a bunch of her skin off the bat. They put on wound vacs. And the prognosis is that this patient is going to need bilateral lower extremity amputation.
Damn.
But she's refusing that. So she literally has this necrotizing fasciitis going on, this crazy bacterial infection. She's getting treated with IV antibiotics. She's on a PCA pump. And we're just waiting. We're just waiting because she doesn't want the amputation. So what could happen is if they don't amputate it quick enough, it's going to keep spreading. She might even need to get her thighs removed or other parts of her body because it could spread to your hands, to other parts of the body. So she's risking that, but also sepsis. How much of this infection can your lower extremities take before it spreads internally throughout the body and you just go septic and you get in from the inside? Because there was this one story that I heard where a patient came in and it was a COVID patient where they had like a little dot on their neck. So they were turning this patient, stuff like that, but somehow that patient, before they got into the hospital, got necrotizing fasciitis in her skin, in her body, but it was in her muscles.
Wow.
So it ate the patient's back from the inside. And they caught it because there was like a little pimple on the neck. And then when they did a CT scan and X-rays and did a few like all those imagings, they saw that there was literally nothing in this patient's back. There's no muscle, just skin.
Poor thing.
Yeah. That's how crazy it spreads. And you got hit with IV antibiotics, and they had to literally put a whole giant wound vac on this person's back.
So what happened with the patient then? So she didn't want to get her lower extremities amputated.
Yeah.
What's the next 24 hours there? 48 hours.
Really harsh IV antibiotics, like every like 4 to 6 hours, some antibiotic going, and she was also on a PCA pump.
Yikes.
And she had wound vacs. They had already take off some of her skin that was already gone. And necrotizing fasciitis already did so much damage where that skin has to come off no matter what.
Yeah.
But like I said, she's refusing those amputations. So it's like, are the antibiotics going to treat it before it gets too severe, before the patient goes septic? Like it's crazy. And she chose that. And she's like kind of out of it. She's on a PCA pump. She's in a lot of pain. And you're just waiting. And I had her on my last shift, so that's all I know about her. But it's crazy.
I'm gonna be interested to hear back at like what happens
Yeah.
because normally the mortality rate is very high, especially if the patient refuses. Usually we know that we have to amputate right away. In her case, it's looking like severe septic shock, potentially being on pressors, and she was not intubated. It sounds like.
So. No, she's not intubated, but yeah, she's in bad shape, real bad shape. Like bilateral lower extremity wound vacs, and they were pretty big. So I had those green cushions under her legs and everything, prevent those any kind of ulcers and stuff like that. Turning Q2 for sure. Like it sucked, man. She just seemed like she was in a lot of pain always. Yeah, she was on PCA pump and I was giving her PO morphine. So yeah, straight business. But yeah, this necrotizing fasciitis only occurs about 20,000 people a year. So that's, I got 2 right there in like a 2-week span, which is pretty rare.
And I wonder how this I know it's like a type of Streptococcus bacteria, but I wonder if it's like a specific strain which these bacteria have this like super ability of creating necrotizing tissue right away, right? Like this instant cell death. It's insane.
Yeah. It's gross looking too, man. Yeah, I had another patient that had a clotting factor issue. I forgot what number clotting factor the issue was in, but it was new diagnosed, and we were actually looking up the medication cost, and it was $300 to $500,000 a year. This cost. These are injections. So to treat this factor, I don't know if it's 7 or 6 or 8 disease, just treating that issue costs you almost $500,000, and a year.
Right, just to do that.
Yeah, it's crazy. And how could somebody afford that if you think about it? $500,000 a year. That doesn't give access to this medication. If you're not wealthy, you don't have access to medication at all. Because I can't afford everything about it.
Right.
You know, but you would somehow try to get it, and you would just add the debt, and you're literally just.
That's also crazy when it comes to capitalism. Is our government should be funding projects like this, so ultimately it could save like human life, so it's not so expensive.
Yeah, but I'm sure it's somehow government system pays for partial of that, right? But still, you're basically paying that debt for the rest of your life, physically and financially, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, health wise and money wise.
Yeah, and overall, it's just like Pete said before, it's been just a lot of floating in the hospital. Even it was Thanksgiving a few weeks ago, if you're listening out to the episode, and same thing. Within 30 minutes, I got a report on a full set of patients and floated 30 minutes later to another floor, floated again. And it's this very ongoing thing. Overall, this facility that we work at, which we can't really disclose, has a very negative traveler review. We're already kind of like on our end tail of the contract where we have 2 more weeks. And we have this group with 30 travelers across the whole hospital in all specialties that want like shift swaps and all that. And what happened 13 weeks ago, to not liking the scheduler, to sending emails to this person and to management to see if we can make this change and make a better traveler schedule. Same old issues are happening. And it's just the unfortunate part of being a travel nurse, where you might not get the best schedule, the best picking. People complain about schedules. Family wants to come in for a trip and you have to work those days, and your scheduler doesn't listen to you. In some facilities, it's the manager. It is what it is. You have to take that hit.
Yeah. And there was like a few travelers that tried to like get together to have this change, but guess what? You're only there for 3 months and you leave after those 3 months. There's only so much you could do, because your first couple of weeks on a contract, you're trying to figure out how to work. And then mid-contract, you're trying to figure out the place that you're at, you're trying to get comfortable. And really, you only have time the last couple of weeks to actually try and make a change, but they don't really care. Like, you're leaving, which kind of sucks. You're always on a bottom total pool, because I think they're floating us on purpose. Because there's no way. You were in ICU recently, though, weren't you? Yeah, okay. But before that, it was a minute.
Yeah,
right?
But I was also hurt, so I called off 2 shifts,
true.
so I have skewed data there.
Yeah, because last time I was in ICU was when I was with you in ICU, so that was 3 shifts ago. So it's actually not that bad. It just feels like a lot. But still, last 3 shifts being floated kind of sucks.
It does. It's just a lot more stressful.
Yeah.
Like yesterday, I charted on 7 patients. The other shift, it might be like 4, 5, 6, depending on what's happening. So it's just a continuous thing. I mean, it makes us super resilient. Yeah. You hear nurses that they're hiring to DOU and they're struggling with the hiring process. They're struggling with like getting a report and all that. They're kind of saying that these aren't really critical nurses. And they're like, the travelers are just picking it up so quick. Like, we are a special breed where you have your specialty figured out. You know it very well, where you could be, quote unquote, the Navy SEAL of healthcare. You could just jump in anywhere, get report, and just kind of roll with the punches. And that's literally that's the only thing I'm thankful for this contract, is just the resilience that it teaches you, because you're always on the flow. Every single shift, there's always uncertainty. You don't know where, if you're working, not only are you worried about what patients you're trying to get all the time, now you're worried about what floor you're going to work on. It's a continuous stress, but it's fun.
And each floor has different protocols. For example, blood sugars. Some floors, if you're night shift, you cover the 7 a.m. sugars or 7:30 sugars. But on some floors, if you're 7:30, you don't even measure them and you don't cover them. Yeah. And some you just measure but don't cover. It's just like what? Like, why is there a different giant discrepancy? And you never know I'm always asking that question. Hey, do I cover sugars? Every place I go, even ICUs, I forget sometimes. I get them mixed up, and they got to remind me because it's just like I always float everywhere. Everything's different, and I have to always figure out what way I gotta do certain things.
Right. So if you're a nurse that like likes the comfort of knowing all your policies and you're running through it, you have to give up that value because you're always going to be asking questions as a traveler, especially with like what we're experiencing and Peter just mentioned.
And low key, not gonna lie, there are times where I float, and it's actually a really, really good night. Like smooth like butter.
Way better than the ICU.
Way better than like smoother than a smooth day in ICU. Actually, I don't think there's a smoother day than a smooth day in ICU, because everything's going good and you have only like a few meds to give. Then that's super smooth. Because even in like a super smooth day in like a tele floor or a med surg floor, you still get those call lights.
In the mornings get a little bit busy.
Yeah, but if someone's intubated, sedated, and you know they're not gonna be doing anything, they're on maybe one pressor or two pressors, and no one's trying to titrate anything, and it's like Saturday morning, no one's gonna be doing anything on Sunday, so you're kind of laying low if you hit that.
You turn the patient, empty the Foley's, change your tube feeds if you have
Yeah.
to. You're squared away.
Yeah, you spend if you spend your shift making the room look pretty, it's a smooth day.
Yeah.
Because you have nothing else to do that night.
The only thing that makes things difficult in our like floating career here is that CNAs don't do vitals. We're responsible for the vitals. So like as soon as like 5 a.m. hits, you're trying to like surf around, see who wakes up, catch them really quick, get their blood pressure and all that stuff, and then you do their meds. And that's what sucks. It's just very unpredictable. You have a patient that has a Pyrrhic, completely wet the bed or completely shit the bed or is on the ortho floors. You got to give them some pain meds. You got to get them up to the bathroom, 15, 20 minutes, go there. You got 3 or 4 patients and you got to hustle sometimes on the floors. So yeah, it's a give and take between smooth nights there, the ICU.
Yeah, you're right. Right, man. Because in ICU, I like to do things super early so I think it's done on time. So I always like when a patient has to go, like when I'm floating to DOU or tele or med surg. I like when the patient buzzes at like 5 o'clock in the morning to go to the bathroom. I'm like, for sure, dude. 6 o'clock.
Take care of it. Take the vitals machine.
Yeah, dude. Sometimes low key. Sometimes if I take a Pepsi do at 7 or whatever, I backtrack it to like 6 and I give it a 5. You know, on his way to the bathroom. You know, for sure, like it's vital. It's like he's good. He's good. I like doing that, especially like in the ICU too, because sometimes things that happen in change of shift. I like to finish like an hour early. You know, sometimes it's kind of hard sometimes, but I like to finish an hour early. That way, from like 6 to 7, I could just lay low and maybe help somebody else out. Or if something happens, I could help out in that sense. I always try to be early because you never know. Sometimes it's just things take longer. And when you're in ICU, everyone's intubated, sedated. You're working on your own schedule, which is super, super nice. And especially if they have like NG tube and stuff. Yeah, we're chilling.
Yes, sir. All right, ladies and gents, hope you enjoyed this debrief. Anything you want to say? Close it off.
Make sure you guys check out the chop. Make sure you guys check out the shop.
The Choppa.
Merry Christmas. And make sure you use code Mary15 for 15% off the whole Couple Nurses shop. CoupleNurses.shop.
Peace, ladies and gents.